Greetings, wisdom seekers. Welcome to a transformative journey on our channel. Today, we're delving into the profound philosophy of Stoicism, a timeless guide to navigating life's challenges with resilience and wisdom. Buckle up for an enlightening experience as we unlock the secrets of Stoicism together. Get ready to embrace a mindset that can transform the way you perceive and respond to the world. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, grab a comfy seat, and let the journey begin. Number 1. Who is Marcus Aurelius? Alone of the emperors. The historian Herodian would write of the man who became known to us as Marcus Aurelius. He gave proof of his learning not by mere words or knowledge of philosophical doctrines, but by his blameless character and temperate way of life. Cassius Dio. In addition to possessing all the other virtues, he ruled better than any others who had ever been in any position of power. Born April 26, 121. Nobody would have predicted that Marcus Catilius Severus Annius Verus would one day be emperor of the Roman Empire, the Emperor Hadrian. Who would have known young Marcus through his early academic accomplishments, sensing his potential, kept an eye on the boy. His nickname for Marcus, whom he liked to go hunting with, was Verissimus, a play on his name Verus, the truest one. What exactly Hadrian saw in Marcus is unclear, but by Marcus's 17th birthday, Hadrian had begun planning something extraordinary. He was going to make Marcus Aurelius the emperor of Rome on February 25, 138. Hadrian adopted a 51-year-old man named Antoninus Pius, on the condition that he in turn adopted Marcus Aurelius, given life expectancy statistics of the time. Hadrian figured this regent and mentor might be at the helm in 5 years. All was well. Except Antoninus lived and ruled for 23 years, in 161. As Antoninus died and ended one of the longest reigns, Marcus finally became the emperor of the Roman Empire and ruled for nearly 2 decades until his death in 180. His reign wasn't easy. Wars with the Parthian Empire, the barbarian tribes menacing the empire on the northern border, the rise of Christianity, as well as the plague that left millions dead. The famous historian Edward Gibbon wrote that under Marcus, the last of the 5 good emperors, the Roman Empire was governed by absolute power, under the guidance of wisdom and virtue. The guidance of wisdom and virtue. That's what separates Marcus from the majority of past and present world leaders. Just look at the journal that he left behind, which is now known as his Meditations, the private thoughts of the most powerful man in the world, admonishing himself on how to be more virtuous, more just, more immune to temptation, wiser. And for Marcus, Stoicism provided a framework for dealing with the stresses of daily life as a leader of one of the most powerful empires in human history. Number 2. Who was Seneca? Born around 04 BC in Corduba, Spain, the son of a wealthy and learned writer known to history as Seneca the Elder. Seneca the Younger was destined for great things from birth. Seneca's father selected Attalus, the Stoic, to tutor his boy, primarily for his reputation as a man of great eloquence. His son took to education with gusto by Seneca's own telling. He cheerfully laid siege to the classroom and was the first to arrive and last to leave it. The most powerful lesson that Seneca learned from Attalus was on the desire to improve practically, in the real world. The purpose of studying philosophy, Seneca learned from his beloved instructor, was to take away with him some one good thing every day. He should return home a sounder man, or on the way to becoming sounder. While his commitment to self-improvement was beloved by his teachers, they also knew that his father, no fan of philosophy, was paying them to train his son for an active and ambitious political career. In Rome, a promising young lawyer could appear in court as early as age 17, and there is little doubt that Seneca was one, but only in his early 20s. Seneca's health nearly cut it all short. A lung condition forced him to take an extended trip to Egypt to recover, where he would spend nearly a decade writing, reading, and building up his strength. He returned to Rome at 35 in 31 AD, a time of paranoia and violence, and corruption and political turmoil. Seneca kept his head down for the most part throughout the equally terrifying reigns of Tiberius and Caligula. His life took a sharp turn in 41 AD when Claudius became the emperor and exiled Seneca to the island of Corsica. It would be another 8 years away from Rome, and although he started productively writing consolation to Polybius, consolation to Helvia, and on anger in a short span, the many writing consolations soon needed some consoling himself. So began his practice of letter writing, which would continue all his life. 8 years later, in another sharp turn, Agrippina, mother of future Emperor Nero and wife of Claudius, recalled Seneca from exile to become her son's tutor and advisor. At 53 years old, Seneca is suddenly elevated to the center of life in the Roman imperial court, a whirlwind of events that history still hasn't wrapped its head around. In the end, Seneca made only minimal impact on Nero, a man whom time would shortly reveal to be deranged. Was it always a hopeless mission? Probably, but all a Stoic can do is show up and do our work. Seneca believed he had an obligation, as he would later write. The difference between the Stoics and the Epicureans is that the Stoics felt that politics was a duty, and the last but not the least, who is Epictetus, while Seneca would speak with surprising relatability about slave owners who became owned by the responsibility and management of their slaves or other. Stoics would congratulate themselves for their humane treatment of their human chattel. Epictetus actually was one. His given name is not known. Epictetos is Greek meaning acquired. Epictetus was born into slavery. Epictetus' mention of his owner, Epaphroditus, is surprisingly neutral because we know Epaphroditus was cruel even by Roman standards. Later Christian writers tell us that Epictetus' master was violent and depraved, at one point twisting Epictetus' leg with all his might, as a punishment, as a sick pleasure, in a wrestling match, trying to get a disobedient young kid to follow instructions. We don't know. All we hear is that Epictetus calmly warned him about taking it too far. When the leg snapped, Epictetus made no sound, he uttered no tears. He smiled and looked at his master and said, "Didn't I warn you?" For the rest of his life, Epictetus would walk with a limp, but Epictetus remained unbroken by the incident. Lameness is an impediment to the leg, he would later say, but not to the will. Epictetus would choose to see his disability as only a physical impairment. And in fact, it was that idea of choice that defined the core of his philosophical beliefs. Life was like a play, he liked to say, and if it was the playwright's pleasure, you should act a poor man, a cripple, a governor, or a private person. See that you act it naturally. For this is your business, to act well the character assigned you, to choose it as another's. And so he did. Law established by Augustus in over AD determined that slaves could not be freed before their 30th birthday. Epictetus didn't obtain his freedom until shortly after Emperor Nero's death. He chose to dedicate himself fully to philosophy and taught in Rome for nearly 25 years, until the Emperor Domitian famously banished all philosophers in Rome. Epictetus fled to Nicopolis in Greece, where he founded a philosophy school and taught until his death.